Wang Kuying's house built a 5-story, large foreign-style building with gold bricks. I want to suppress the luck of my family for 3 lifetimes. I'm not noisy or noisy. The backhand is in the homestead. A 2-meter deep cellar was dug. There is a dead rule in the countryside. The houses next to each other must be built the same height. Who is taller? It is to suppress the other party's headlift. Rob other people's feng shui. Before construction began, Wang Kuying said yes to my mother Lin Fanghua. Cover 3 layers, flush. But my house just closed. His house directly added Magai to the 5th floor. My mom went to ask for an explanation. Wang Kuying took a bite to the ground. Roll your eyes and say, "What about words? If you can't show evidence, you are trying to blackmail people. I want to build a few layers on my land. None of your business." I grabbed my mother, who was shaking with anger. Went back to the house without a word. Wang Kuying doesn't know. I have been in the construction unit for the past few years. It's ground monitoring, working with groundwater and soil all day long. He even forgot that my family and his family are neighbors. These decades, how does his family bully others? My old house is surrounded by 3 high walls. Middle age sees no light. You have to turn on the lights even at noon. Large pieces of wall skin fall off. There is always a delicious food in the house that cannot be dissipated. Wang Kuying is not only tall, also installed with blue glass. The sun follows suit, and my family can't keep their eyes open. The villagers say that Lao Chen's family has been suppressed for 2 lifetimes. All the luck has been sucked dry by the Wang family. I can't turn over in my life. Wang Kuying walks with wind when she hears this. When I saw my mother, I didn't even lift my eyelids. My mother took the initiative to call him Sister Kuying, and he just grinned out of his nose. His 2 sons, Wang Dashan and Wang Xiaoshan, beating me like a sandbag since I was a kid. Once, Wang Dashan hit my nose with blood all over my face. My mom went to ask for an explanation. Wang Kuying knocked on the melon seeds and said with an oblique eye, "It's normal for children to play. Your baby is too squeamish. How to mix in the future?" That night, my mother is squatting on the threshold. Tears drop into the soil. I sat by the fire, opened the textbook while wiping the nosebleed. From that day on, I was holding my breath. Became the first key college student in Shili Baxiang. I studied architectural engineering. Now I'm standing in the yard, staring at the direction of the foundation next door he smeared. Wang Kuying thinks that the higher the construction, the more beautiful it is. I don't know. The foundations of his building are already crumbling. As long as I dig up the soil here, his mansion will catch him sooner or later. Since he wants to play dirty, then I'll play with him to the end. But before we get started, I always think of the time before it all began. Remember the afternoon when I was about to build a house. Turn the tables. Lao Chen's family is going to turn over this time. Lim Fanghua shouldn't be able to sleep this time, right? It's fun. Gossip on the village road floats into my ears. My mother, Lin Fanghua, for the first time in 30 years. The spine is straight. After I graduated from college, worked in the provincial metro construction unit for 5 years. It's serious. Certified senior foundation pit monitoring engineer. Deep foundation pit projects under management. The settlement error has never exceeded 0.3 millimeters. They are all well known in the industry. I have saved a sum of money over the years. The first thing to do when returning to the village, that is, rip down the old house that crushed 2 generations of our family. Build a bright new house for my parents. I don't want them to live in that old house for a day, surrounded on 3 sides by the high walls of Wang Kuying's house. See the sun all year round. The moss is thicker than a slab. As soon as you enter the house, it is delicious to break bones. My mom lived here for 30 years, suffering from severe rheumatism. It hurts so much in rainy days that I can't even get out of bed. The 2-story building of Wang Kuying's house is like a boulder. On the broken tiles of my house, oppressed 2 entire generations of the old Chen family. The news of the new house has just spread. The village is fried. Even when I see my mother, Wang Kuying, who doesn't even lift her eyelids. For the first time ever, he took the initiative to climb on my door. He was carrying 2 bags of wilted hair spells. An apple with dark spots. I'm afraid half the village can't hear it. Standing at my house with a smile on my face. Wet yard gate. Where is youth at home? Chen Fei, the college expert, is also back. My mother Lin Fang froze by the stove. I haven't recovered for a long time. 30 years, Wang Kuying. Never called his name so politely. Open your mouth on weekdays, it's either the one or the one. I didn't even look at him a few times. I heard your family is starting a new house. Wang Kuying walked in by herself. Cut the bag of rotten fruits on the broken wooden table. The eyes are dripping around in my yard. There is such a plan. The child is promising. I don't want to see the old couple live in this corpse nest anymore. My mom quickly wiped her hands. The pride that cannot be hidden in the eyes. Is that a good relationship? Wang Kuiying slaps her thigh. Spittle stars fly around. I grabbed my mom's hand and started to get close. My family is also thinking about being cheap. Our two houses are next to each other. I came today. I just want to discuss with you about building this house. We are close. This time, we agreed to build 3 layers together and go hand in hand. No one presses anyone's luck. What do you think? There was a flash of surprise in my mom's eyes. Even the voice trembled. Sister Kuiying, do you mean that the 2 houses are the same height? That's what he suffered for 30 years. What I dream of hearing. In the countryside, a house can crush someone by an inch. Wang Kuiying's words. It's almost like the sun is coming out of the west. That still has a price. Wang Kuiying patted her chest. The appearance of a generous elder. Our neighborhoods. Only by being kind can you make a fortune. I, Wang Kuiying, keep my word. In the future, our 2 families will be high and low. It's a lot of wrangling that hurts peace. Spittle, he said. The eyeballs have never left my house. Out of the homestead red line. The calculation in those eyes can't be hidden. I sat on a bench in the shadows, watching his poor performance with cold eyes. I know better than anyone who Wang Kuiying is. He never had the word fair in his dictionary. Only take advantage, and take advantage. Today, he can take the initiative to bow his head and discuss. I might be holding some bad water in my stomach. I gave my mom a wink. I want him not to rush to agree. But my mom is already in it. He craves this belated respect too much, even if it's an illusion mixed with poison. He also wants to hold it warm in his hands. What Sister Kuiying said is reasonable. It's a promise then. My mom got really excited. Her face glowed red, like she hadn't seen in 30 years. After Wang Kuiying left, my father, Teacher Chen, frowned and came out of it. Old lady, why do I think this is Xuanhua? When did Wang Kuiying become a living bodhisattva? Everyone took the initiative to bow their heads. What more do you want? You have to get into a fight with people. My mom stared. The tone is full of joy. I can't listen to advice at all. I walked over and said in a low voice, Mom, words are unfounded. Let him write another word. Set the floor height at the 3rd floor. Whoever copies it takes full responsibility. Draw the red line between the 2 families. Signature and bet count. My mother's face instantly sank. There was a reproach in his voice. What words to write? People are kind to discuss. You get people to write sentences. Isn't that spitting in people's faces? Chen Fei, how many years have you been reading? Why have you become so petty? If it is spread out, the villagers should say that our old Chen family. As soon as you turn over, you look down on people. Not even some neighborhood newcomers. The foundation of my house. It is designed in strict accordance with the deep foundation pit support standards. The foundation pit was dug 3 meters deep, directly tied into the stable rock layer below. The concrete label is pulled to the highest level, not to mention the 3rd floor. Even if you build 10 floors, it is as stable as Mount Tai. And I sighed. No more arguing. In the countryside, this false face is sometimes bigger than the sky. My mom was under pressure for 30 years. It's hard to wait for a promise of equality. He would rather believe it to be true. I refuse to admit that it's a scam, but I won't take my parents' security for the rest of their lives. Gambling King Kuiying just left. I hit the pause button on the pen in my pocket. From the moment he stepped into the courtyard, every word of this conversation, it was clearly recorded by me. The heart of defense is indispensable. This is me on the construction site for 5 years. The most profound lesson learned. A few days later, both started construction at the same time. I specially invited the cooperation team of the previous unit. With a total battle, accurately laid the red line on its own land. Every decoration has done satellite positioning. The retention error does not exceed 1 millimeter. The foundation of my house. It is designed in strict accordance with the deep foundation pit protection standards. The foundation pit was dug 3 meters deep. It plunged directly into the stable rock layer below. Dense reinforcement. The concrete label is pulled to the highest level. Don't say 3 floors. Even if you build 10 floors, it is as stable as Mount Tai. I'm still in my yard. Planned an underground storage cellar for compliance. Depth 2 meters, 24 weeks. Made all steel plate installation and concrete anti-seepage. The design drawings are on file at the document management station. All formalities are complete. legal compliance, and next door to Wang Kuying's house. I hired the cheapest grass platform team in the neighboring village. Lead contractor. I can't even read the complete construction drawings, not to mention any qualifications. I stood on the edge of my red pole, looking at the so-called foundation they dug. I sneered in my heart. That's not a foundation. It's a shallow pit at best. To save money and construction time, they didn't even lay a decent concrete cushion. Pile cheap concrete directly on the loose earth. Skips even the most basic layering. Rebar cuts corners. Using the cheapest slimming rebar on the market, the diameter is exactly 2 sizes thinner than the design requirements. Wang Kuying stood on the construction site and commanded, 1. Let the workers make the decorative columns thick and big. The amount of red bricks and rebar piled in the yard, the discerning person knows at a glance, more than enough to cover 5 layers. I look at the stones piled up casually. I already have the number in my heart. This cutting corners strip foundation. Very low bearing capacity. Covering the agreed 3 floors is already the limit. Stamp online. The foundation is bound to collapse. Can't hold the weight on it at all. If the water table changes slightly, this building is definitely crooked. The cracks in the wall can crack like a spider's web. I see it. Not a word. I see. Now it is said that Wang Kuying only thinks I curse him. I think I'm jealous of him building a tall building. It will only get worse against me. He wants to kill me. There's no need to stop him. But I was prepared. After work every day, I will use professional equipment. Chen Jiang to the foundation next door. Soil sweater for a complete monitoring. All data is accurately recorded. Generations are big. At the same time, my family's water storage teaching construction. A third-party supervisor is present throughout the process. Every step meets the specifications. Not to the soil next door. Cause any disturbance. The villagers say, I'm stupid. Don't use the skills of a big expert. Dig a hole in your yard like an old hat. Wang Kuying is even more proud. I get sarcastic every time I see you. The big experts don't build your building well. Dig a hole every day. Are you going to live underground? I just smile and don't answer every time. He didn't know I wasn't digging a hole. It's his royal tomb. He doesn't even know my pit. Not only to break off his son's marriage, he also wants to take his royal family, the bad debts that oppressed 2 generations of my family, with interest. 1 stroke at a time. 2 months later, my 3-story building was successfully capped. The day the firecrackers were set off, the smoke is not smooth. The wind blew half the village. The yard is full of red firecracker confetti. Hilarious, like a wedding. My mom is standing in front of a brand new building. You can't see your teeth. It was his entire life. It's the first time in the village that the waist is so straight. Lao Chen's house is really lavish. The earthquake created by this foundation did not shake when it came. That's not true. Chen Fei is a big expert from the provincial capital. Can it be the same as the local method in the village? After 30 years, the old Chen family finally made it through. The onlookers boasted. The shadow that weighs on my head for 30 years. It's about to follow the roof of this bottle of paint. Completely scattered. And Wang Kuying's family just got angry to the 2.5 floors. He didn't show up the day my house topped out Baiju. Only let Wang Deshan sent 2 crumpled red paper bags. There's $20 in it. Shabby funny. I saw it with my own eyes. Wang Deshan stands by the drain at the junction of the 2 families, staring at my brand new 3-story roof. His eyes are full of extreme and ruthless, like a mad dog ready to bite. But it was capped at my house for less than a week. The wind changes direction. In the middle of the night, I lay in my old makeshift house. I heard the roar of trucks on the village road. Even the glass windows trembled. The land under the weight of one heavy truck after another is shaking. The next morning, I opened the rear window to take a look. The fire in my heart came up in an instant. In the courtyard of Wang Kuying's house, the red bricks are piled up like hills. Bundles of thickened steel bars. Dozens of bags of cement are piled up. Where is the scale to cover 3 layers? More than enough to cover 5 floors. The building materials not only filled his yard, even directly, it's piled up on my side of Red Line Jizhuang, blocked more than half of the way out of my side door. When the wind blows, the cement ash is spread all over the sky. It's all stuck to the new wall of my house that was just painted. White wall, coated with a layer of gray-black cement stains. My mom walked over, frowning. I still want to maintain that last bit of dignity. Press your temper and say, Sister Kuijing, I see you bought too much of this material. We agreed to build 3 floors. This extra material is easily susceptible to moisture and failure. Or, Wang Kuying is squatting by the sand pile and directing the workers to unload the goods. Classical Chinese cheeky. Put the cigarette butt in my mouth, into my house. Kui scolded when he opened his mouth. It's none of your business how much material I buy. I have the money and would love to buy more to keep. What do you feel sorry for? My mom was stunned on the spot. There is a little grievance in the tone. I'm just kind enough to remind you. Didn't we say we were kind? Wang Kuying stood up abruptly. Shoot the sand off your pants. Those triangular eyes squinted at my mother, pointing at the pile of red bricks and screaming. Lin Fenghua, don't pretend to be me. I see you are jealous. Look at how much my family buys. Look, my house is taller than yours. Are you sore? I have been poor for a lifetime and can't see other people build tall buildings. The third floor of your house is a fart. I can build a few layers if I want. This is my land. A few workers hired by the Wang family next to him also laughed. That is, Boss Wang's family mostly builds 2 floors. What's wrong? The depth of the foundation is my own room. Who do you love? My mom stood there with blue lips in anger, shaking all over. Can't refute half a sentence. I went over and pulled my mom behind me. He pressed his hand directly on the cold red boundary pillar. I looked at Wang Kuying. I looked again at those who had already started to hang themselves, packed with red bricks. The walls on the second floor of his house are just drying out. The scaffolding has gone crazy. 2 more layers go up. Day and night, the workers went up to lay bricks. It is clear that it is necessary to forcibly cover the 5th floor. Continue to press the head lift of my house. I looked down and glanced. The place where the 2 families share. Again. He looked at the Wang family's ridiculously simple submersible. Because the red bricks are too heavy. That piece of ground has been pressed down. Trapped in a circle. I didn't say a word. Pulled my mother around and went back to the house. Tears fell as soon as my mother entered the door, concubine. How could he be so shameless? It was clearly said that the 3rd floor was. How could he just turn his face? Mom, don't be angry. I poured him a glass of hot water. The tone is calm. He wants to cover it. Let him cover it. The higher the cover, the worse the fall. But he has 5 floors. It's 2 stories taller than ours. What should the villagers think of our family? Where is your mother's face? My mom got more and more excited. My blood pressure is so dizzy that I almost can't stand. And I sat him down. The meaning in my heart is getting heavier and heavier. Wang Kuying never just wanted to build a high-rise building. What he wants is to trample my family under his feet. It is to make the old Chen family never able to lift their head in the village. It's to bring luck to my family. Generations have been sucked into his royal family. But he forgot to come out and pay it back sooner or later. He even forgot that I eat the bowl of rice of construction. He plays this English set. In my eyes, it's no different from playing house with a child. My mom couldn't hold it back that afternoon. Rushing to the gate of the Wang family, pointing at Wang Kuying and scolding. Wang Kuying, come out for me. What do you mean? It is agreed that the 2 houses are the same height. Your shelf is about to poke into the sky now. Do you think I'm dead? Wang Kuying slowly moved from that pile. Come out from behind the dazzling gold tiles. With half of Hongtae Mountain in his mouth, eyes full of provocation. My family said it in the main room on the 3rd floor. My mother's chest heaved violently in anger, pointing at the crooked one next door. 5 layers of twisted steel. The whole family heard. Chen Fei was also present. If you turn your face now, you won't admit it. Do you still want this old face? Wang Kuying talked about the white ash on his body, sneered without lifting his eyelids. What about the words? Take it out and let me see. My mom was stunned on the spot. His lips trembled for a long time, holding back a word. What words? Black and white. The kind of 1,000-character painting duck. Wang Kuying squinted at my mother. A puff of smoke squirted directly in my mother's face. It made my mom cough. Not really. No, actually. Then what are you talking to me here? I think your family is crazy about building a house. Your neighbors are better than your family. Are you trying to blackmail people with red mouth and white teeth? Trying to extort money from me while I'm building a house, right? You fart. My mom is totally on fire. The voice has doubled. The workers at my construction site stopped. You said it in front of the whole Chen family at that time. The 2 families are level. No one presses anyone's luck. You can't go back now. I fart Wang Kuying, threw the cigarette butt in the mud. Pushing and pushing with mud-stained liberation shoes. Like stepping on my mother's face. Lin Fenghua. Did you fall into the cesspool and wash your mouth? So stinky as a neighbor for 30 years? I have never seen you so black-hearted. See my family make a fortune building tall buildings. You just want to program me. I want to take the opportunity to knock me. Your conscience is afraid that the wild dog will steal it. Make braised pork and eat it. The noise is getting louder and louder. The whole village gathered around, pointing at the two. There it is again. The old Chen family is afraid that they will really be crushed to death by the Wang family this time. Wang Kuying doesn't want any face at all. Everyone saw it when we discussed it at the beginning. That's just plain rascal. It's useless. Lin Fanghua is too honest. Didn't let him write. Now people don't recognize it. Anything goes. The Chen family has to eat a stuffy helmet again this time. I'm afraid I won't be able to turn over in my life. The surrounding chatter got into my ears. Slap it in my mom's face like a slap. Spicy pain. Just then, Wang Deshan came out of the house. Big wrench in hand, full of flesh. Shoulder sideways in front of Wang Kuying. Curse when you open your mouth. What are you yelling about? Ladies and gentlemen, spend all day here. I don't think enough people have died in the family. This is my home. I can build a few layers if I want. Even if I go to the sky. None of your business. My mother pointed at Wang Dashan. Tears are swirling in the eyes. It's hard to talk. Your mother promised herself. Everyone can testify. Testify. Who testifies to you? Wang Dashan giggled. Crispy, a mouthful of bloodshot phlegm on the ground. Do you have any evidence? Failure to produce evidence is a false accusation. Is slander. You stand here with your mouth full of shit. Believe it or not, I'll go straight to town and sue you. Let you squat in an orange for a few days. Growth memory. Wang Kuying walked slowly to my mother with her hands behind her back. He lowered his voice and said word by word. Lin Fanghua, let me be honest with you. Your Chen Fei has been admitted to a key university. What architecture did you read? Now an expert in the province. Back to the village scenery, right? But the boundaries of this village, it's still me, Wang Kuying, who has the final say. Experts are nothing to me. I don't just build 3 layers. I'm going to build 5 more layers. This is called Wuzi Denke. Good luck. My 5 floors are pestled here. Paste the brightest gold tiles. Install blue glass. The sun shines. You can reflect all your wealth into my house. The feng shui charm of your home. It's all pinned down by my 5 floors. Can't even grow a weed. Your son will be successful again. I can't turn the sky upside down in my life. I can only be a mouse in my shadow. The Wang family has suppressed the Chen family for 2 lifetimes. I just want to crush your family for 3 more lifetimes and 4 generations. Let your old Chen family never turn over. Wang Kuying of Dog Day. I fought with you. My mom rolled up her sleeves and rushed forward. I want to tear his shit-spraying mouth apart. A few kind folks rushed up quickly. Hold him tight. Lao Lin, don't do it. Don't do it. The Wang family is worried that there is no excuse to find trouble. Whoever starts first will suffer. The wrench in Wang Dashan's hand is not long-eyed. Not worth it. My mom can't swallow this breath. Next week, pulled me around the village committee. Police station. Finally, I went to the supervision station of the town government. But it made my mom completely desperate. The people from the village committee were smoking cigarettes and shaking their heads. We really can't handle this kind of thing. It was just a verbal agreement. Not a word. What do we use to ask people to stop work? The police officer monked at the police station's side. This is a neighborhood dispute. It's not criminal. As long as they don't occupy your territory, building several layers is their freedom. We can't enforce it. The clerk at the town supervision station went through the documents. Without looking up, people are building houses on their own homestead. The area does not exceed the standard. The height of rural self-built houses. There is no uniform, hard standard. You can go back and discuss it. It's these words, back and forth. Block all my mother's hopes. I help my mother on the dirt road back to the village. The afternoon sun makes people dizzy. People chirping by the roadside are upset. My mother sat on the threshold, looking at my new house that hasn't dried yet. Tears can't stop falling. Son. Our whole life. Was it really crushed to death by them? I didn't say anything. Just looking at the Wang family next door. The illegal building that has been built to the 4th floor. Fingers gently Mosuo recorder in pocket. There is also the report material that has already been prepared. Wang Kuying. You think you can do whatever you want without words? You think the higher you build, the more beautiful it is? Don't worry, I won't argue with you. I won't mess with you. I'll let you see for yourself. The 5-story mansion you are proud of, how did it become a pile of ruins? The marriage of the sun you miss. How is it completely yellow? The crime of the Queen's family, oppressing 2 generations of my family. How was it punished? That night, I started the construction of the water storage church. The excavator went into my yard. Within the confines of my homestead, at the junction of the two, start digging down. The villagers gathered around to watch the fun. Point at me. Chen Fei, what's wrong? He was so angry that he built a high-rise building and dug a hole. What else can you do? I have no ability to fight with the Wang family. You can only break the jar. What's the use of reading? Isn't it being bullied by others riding on their heads? These words are drifting into my ears. I don't care. Wang Kuiying stood on the scaffold next door, looking at my construction site, laughed hard, yelling at me at the big expert. You are going to build a house underground, hiding from the 5th floor of my house? It's also my building. You will never see the sun in your life. It's better to live underground. I looked up. Look at his complacent face and smile coldly. I studied architecture half to compete. The other half, just the one day. Can you find this boundary marker with your own hands? Get my house back from the battlefield. The death of Grandpa. Check it out. Wang Kuiying, please laugh. Laugh hard. You'll be crying when I dig this hole to the end, because I'm never going to dig a water cellar. But 982 years. My grandfather buried it with his own hands. The eroded boundary marker engraved with the good luck of the commune. Back then, the Queen's family occupied half a meter of my homestead. This account should be cleared. The excavator dug for 3 days. Finally dug to the predetermined depth of 2 meters too. In the past 3 days, the 5th floor of Wang Kuiying's house was also successfully closed. The whole building is covered with dazzling local tyrant gold tiles. Blue yo-yo reflective glass is installed. Those who can't open their eyes in the sun? From a distance. This building is like a golden bump, squeezed on the edge of my eaves. 2 huge stainless steel water tanks on the roof. Like 2 eyes, staring gloomily at my 2-story building. Even if it is noon in my house. It's eerie. No sunlight can get in. Freshly painted latex paint on the wall. Because there is no sun all year round. The tide has started. My mother looked at the Yawu building next door. The 5-story building of Weiwei. I couldn't eat. The whole person has lost weight visible to the naked eye. I often toss and turn at night and can't sleep, sitting by the bed and sighing. The gossip in the village is getting worse and worse. Old Chen's family is completely finished now. He was crushed to death by the Wang family. Never see the light of day. Wang Kuiying is so beautiful now. His house is the tallest building in the village. No one can afford to offend him in the village in the future. Chen Fei read the book for nothing. My mother was bullied like this. Don't even dare to fart. Just dig a hole. I heard these words in my ears without panicking at all, because I know it's time for a reversal. On the morning of the 4th day, I cleared all the excavator workers, just me and my dad, holding a shovel and a Luoyang shovel, shovel down little by little at the southeast corner of the pit bottom. Here's my grandfather on his deathbed. The position you told me with your last breath. My grandfather Chen Shouyi was the old party secretary in the village back then. Integrity. I have never taken advantage of the collective penny in my life. 982 years. Village sub-homestead. The commune personally came to measure. A precise red line has been set for each household. Also let the head of each household bury a piece with your own hands. A bluestone boundary marker with the name and the red seal of the commune engraved on it. As proof of boundaries. My grandfather served as the village party secretary. Did it by hand. Also personally at the southeast corner of my homestead. I planted a boundary marker that belongs to my family. But in the winter of the 2nd year after dividing the homestead, my grandfather went to inspect the ditch at the east end of the village. Accidentally fell into the gutter. By the time the villagers found out, they were gone. When the villagers find out, the people are gone. The commune came to check. It was characterized as an accidental stumble. Less than half a year after Grandpa left, Wang Kuiying's family began to build an old house. My dad never understood that. Wang Kuiying took advantage of no one in charge of my house. Secretly take the boundaries of the 2 families. Moved a full half a meter towards my house. Occupy my homestead. When my dad finds out, the Wang family's house has been built, Wang Kuiying rolls around and refuses to admit it. That's what the land is like. My dad can't produce evidence. I can only eat this dumb loss. This battle has been going on for more than 40 years. Grandpa took my dad's hand on his deathbed. Intermittently, the boundary marker is buried in the southeast corner of the homestead. 2 meters underground. Let my dad find out. Take back the land that belongs to the Chen family. But my dad searched for it several times and couldn't find it. it was put on hold. Come to me to study architectural engineering. Half the fight for breath. The other half is for someday. Can you find this boundary marker with your own hands? Get my house back from the battlefield. Find out the truth about Grandpa's death. I have Grandpa in my hand. Homestead drawings left over from that year. Precisely locate the position of the boundary pillar. The shovel in his hand is shoveled very carefully, just when digging to a depth of 2.5 meters. The spade suddenly clanged. Hit something hard. My heart skipped a beat. My dad and I quickly threw away the shovel. Use your hands to peel open the surrounding soil, little by little. Pretty soon, a turquoise stone tablet revealed his entire appearance. The stone tablet is not big. 30 centimeters building square. It is engraved with Chen Shouyi's homestead boundary. 1982 years in a few big characters. There is also a clear one next to it. The red seal of the commune, although more than 40 years have passed, but still clear and variable. My dad was crouching at the bottom of the pit and feeling the stone tablet. Instantly red eyes. Tears fell on the stone tablet. Mouth murmuring, "Father. Found it, finally found it." I also took a deep breath. Suppressed the excitement in my heart. Wang Qiying. Aren't you stubborn? You didn't mean your land. Can you cover it however you want? Now the hard evidence is here. Your proud 5-story mansion. It's half a meter across. It was built on my family's homestead. This is not a neighborhood dispute. This is illegal trespassing on other people's land. It's a real illegal construction. I took out my camera. The position facing the boundary pillar. Dozens of photos were taken of the words and stamps on it. The coordinates of the boundary pillar were accurately measured with the total station and the commune of the year. The surviving homestead drawings were compared exactly. And then I called the town notary. The staff of the Institute of Land and Resources came to the scene. A notary and site survey was done on this pillar. Issued a formal survey. Reports and notarial certificates. The report is clear. Wang Qiying's current house. Illegal occupation of 0.32 mu of Chen Feijia homestead. Lateral crossing 0.5 meters. It is an illegal occupation of land. Take this red-stamped report. My hands are as steady as a mountain. This piece of paper is Wang Qiying. The 5-story court verdict. And this is just the first meal I prepared for him, in the process of digging the boundary marker. And I did have a little serendipity. 30 centimeters next to the boundary pillar. I dug up a rusty iron box. The box is made of thick iron sheet. Although the embroidery on the outside is great, but it's waterproof inside. It's in perfect condition. The moment you open the box, my dad and I were stunned. Inside is my grandfather's diary, and a plate of yellowed paper. In the diary, recorded my grandfather's daily life as a village party secretary. And the last few entries made me feel cold all over. November 15th, 983. The man of King Qing's wealth, and Wang Qiying is looking for me. Want me to give him a homestead? It takes up more than half a meter of Chen's land. I don't agree. The collective cannot occupy more than 1 cent of the land. Not to mention, the neighbor's land. This is non-negotiable. November 20th, 1983. Eagle King Fugui came to me again. Carried 2 bottles of wine and 50 yuan. Let me be accommodating. I threw him out. He said something cruel when he was about to leave. Tell me not to be shameless. If I don't do it, he can do it. I'm not afraid of him. I'm not afraid of the shadow slanting. Rain on November 23rd, 1983. I found that Wang Fugui secretly chopped down more than a dozen yang trees in the village collective. Shula went to town to sell it. This is theft of collective property. I want to report to the commune. He found out and had a big fight with me. Said that if I dared to report it, I would have to die. I'm not afraid of this kind of evil culture. I have to take care of it. The diary comes to an abrupt end here. And the last page of the diary holds a note. It's in Grandpa's handwriting. If I had an accident, it must be Wang Fugui. There is also a receipt for Wang Fugui selling trees in the box. The stub was secretly left by Grandpa. My fingers are shaking with this journal. It turned out that my grandfather didn't accidentally stumble. He was killed by Wang Fugui. Just because Grandpa refused to give it to him. The homestead of the battle. Refused to cover up his theft of collective property. He kills my grandpa. Over 40 years. Our whole family thought Grandpa died accidentally. I didn't expect it to be killed by someone. And the murderer is the man next door to Wang Qiying. It is the Wang family that has oppressed 2 generations of our family. My dad was shaking like a sieve after reading the diary, squatting on the ground, covering my face, crying bitterly. Over 40 years, he finally learned the true cause of his father's death. So I take a breath, put the diary and all the evidence. It was carefully put away. Wang Kuiying Wang Fugi. You owe our Chen family a life. 40 years of air pressure. Half a meter of homestead. This account. I'll figure it out to you with interest. Not a penny less. Mid-Autumn Festival in half a month. A running water mat was placed under the big tree at the entrance of the village. Dozens of big red round tables fill half the street. Earthy dance music blaring through the tweeters. It hurts the eardrum. Today is Wang Deshan's wedding day. It was also the most beautiful day of Wang Kuiying's life. The woman is a supermarket owner in town. Home conditions are good. Dowry has 2 delivery vans. And 200,000 cash. Wang Kuiying emptied her family for this marriage. Not only did he give a bride price of 288,000, also put that 5-story building. Hardcover inside and out. Just to support the scene in front of the in-laws, he told everyone that my mountain was lucky. Married such a good wife. It all depends on the good feng shui of this 5-story ocean building in my house. After the Wang Jia, the Wang family, is about to take off. He even came to my house on purpose. Being sarcastic to my mom, Fanghua will pick up Deshan tomorrow. Not enough people at home. If you're okay, come over and help with the dishes. It also touches the joy of our family. Maybe your Chenfei can also talk about your daughter-in-law earlier. You can't be a bachelor for the rest of your life, right? My mother was shaking with rage, but I held it down. I smiled and told my mother not to be angry. Let's go to this wedding tomorrow. I'd like to see it. Can he drink this wedding wine safely? Wedding day. Wang family lights up. The red silk hangs from the entrance of the village to the door of the house. Almost the whole village went. Or you want to have a meal? Or you want to watch the fun? Almost the whole village went. Or you want to have a meal? Or you want to watch the fun? My mom and I went too. Sitting at the corner table. My mother sits in the shadows, looking at the golden 5-story building not far away. The hands clutching the chopsticks tightly turned white. I sat next to him, a glass of water in hand. His eyes swept across the audience calmly. Wang Deshan was wearing a taut suit, neckline tight. His face was round and purple, scurrying around the wine table like a pig's head. A red face is mourning Huazi. The proud tail is about to tilt up to the sky. Soon he was holding a wine glass. Staggered to our table, mouthful of wine and garlic stench. Isn't this Aunt Lin? Why are you hiding in the corner and drinking stuffy soup? Wang Deshan sneered. Step on the empty stool next to it. Put the glass in front of my mother's face. Did you watch my house go up 5 floors? Married such a beautiful wife. My heart is so sour that I can't even swallow the meat. My mom didn't say a word. It's just that the hand holding the chopsticks is getting thinner and tighter. Wang Deshan is more excited. Turn around and shout to the whole village. See, that's fate. Some people attended a key university. What subway project is going to the province? Listen to the famous sound. As a result, when I went back to the village to build a house, I only dared to build 3 floors. It depends on my mother's face. Reading is useless. In our village, the height of this house is identity. It's dignity. My mud leg. I can trample you college students under your feet. It's crushing. There was a cacophony of laughter all around. A few people who were close to the Wang family started heckling. Deshan is right. Lao Chen's family can't turn over in this life. Wang Deshan whistled proudly. Pick up a bowl of leftover soup, leftovers. Deliberately crooked, half a bowl of greasy scrap soup. Cover up on my mom's clean cloth shoes. The soup instantly soaked the upper. A few leftover leaves stuck to it. Funny and pathetic. My mom stood up abruptly. I was shaking with anger. Wang Deshan, don't go too far. How about bullying you? Wang Deshan laughed heartily. Pushing my mom's wet toes with my feet? Defiant face. You can push my 5 floors. Lin Fanghua, accept your fate. Your luck. It's already been sucked dry by the ramboli on the roof of my house. He squinted at me. Disdainful. What about college students? What about your promising son? Why do you look like a shrinking turtle? Don't even dare to fart. The water glass in my hand is creaking when I squeeze it. On the toes of the bride. When I was about to step on the red carpet at the gate of the Wang family, suddenly there was a harsh crunch from the building, like a thick steel bar being broken by the sound. Then a few loud bangs. A few golden tiles at the gate. It flew out of the wall without warning. Smashed on the red carpet. I slowly stood up. Look at his face, full of wisdom and virtue. The tone is calm, but has a piercing meaning. Wang Deshan. Don't be complacent. It is uncertain whether your marriage will be successful or not. What the hell are you talking about? Wang Deshan's face changed instantly. He's about to hit me with his fist. How dare you curse me? I see you are tired of living. I sideways. The backhand grabbed his wrist. The hand strength I developed on the construction site. He can't get out of it. Baring his teeth in pain, Wang Deshan. Don't rush. And I whispered in his ear. Tell me every word about your 5-story building. Takes up half a meter of my homestead. Illegal construction, and when your father killed my grandfather. I also found evidence. Wang Deshan's face instantly turned pale. Just then, a shrill well flute sounded from the entrance of the village. Far is near. Then a few vehicles with land and resources, law enforcement printed on them, white vehicles for building safety inspections, and police cars rolled into the village one after the other. Stably stopped next to the Wang family's running water mat. The audience quieted down in an instant. Everyone looked at the past in unison. The smile on Wang Kuiying's face froze instantly. Hurry up and win! Nod and bow and say, Comrade, what's wrong with this? Today is my son's wedding day. Are you in the wrong place? Lead staff. He took out the law enforcement documents with a blank face. In front of him, Wang Kuiying, we received a real name report. The 5-story house you see, there is illegal occupation of other people's homesteads. Built without approval. Cut corners. There are many illegal acts, such as major safety hazards. Now conduct on-site inspection according to law. What? Wang Kuiying's face turned white with a brush. That's impossible. My house is built on my homestead. How can it be possible to occupy other people's land? You got it wrong. Did you make a mistake? We'll know it on site. The staff said coldly. He turned to look at me. Mr. Chen Fei, where is the boundary pillar you reported? I took a step forward. Take out the notarial certificate and survey report and hand it over. Comrades, the boundary monument has been notarized in my yard. This is relevant evidence. Wang Kuiying's house crosses the boundary 0.5 meters horizontally. Illegal occupation of 0.32 acres of my homestead. The evidence is solid. Wang Kuiying looked at the document in my hand. Eyes like copper bells. Point at me and scream. Chen Fei, you reported me. You white-eyed wolf? When did I occupy your land? You are bloody. Is it bloody? You will know on the spot. I looked at him coldly. Wang Kuiying, 40 years ago, your family occupied half a meter of my homestead. I'll settle this account with you today. The staff holds the full battle. Surveys were conducted on the spot. The results are exactly the same as the report I submitted. After on-site investigation, the house built by Wang Kuiying, there is indeed illegal. The act of encroaching on someone else's homestead. It's true. The staff announced the results on the spot. Pulled out another document. In addition, we also received reports. The house construction unit you built is not qualified. Use of substandard building materials. Cut corners. There are major security risks. Now we're going to do a security check on the house. Several building safety appraisal engineers. Holding professional equipment. Entering the 5th floor of the Wang family. The scene was completely fried. The onlookers were talking, pointing at Wang Kuiying. My God. It turns out that this building of the Wang family occupies the land of the Chen family. No wonder Chen Fei digs holes every day. It turned out to be looking for evidence. That's too cruel. Wang Kuiying says every day that the Chen family is incapable. As a result, people backhanded and sued him. It's a clatter. Wang Kuiying stood there, trembling all over. White as paper. I keep saying impossible. That's not possible. Just then, the wedding convoy is back. Blue water black car. The leading BMW has a big red flower. It arrived at the gate of the Wang family in a mighty manner. The suwana is loud. The firecrackers exploded. Wang Deshan quickly tidied up his suit, forced a smile on his face. Run over and open the door. The bride is wearing a white wedding dress. Got out of the car. She's fair and pretty. Just a little disaster on the face. Looking at the law enforcement cars and police at the door, there was a thundering crowd. On the toes of the bride. When I was about to step on the red carpet at the gate of the Wang family, suddenly there was a harsh crunch from the building, like a thick steel bar being broken by the sound. Then a few loud bangs. A few golden tiles at the gate. It flew out of the wall without warning. Smashed on the red carpet. The bride screamed in horror. He took a few steps back. I almost tripped over my wedding dress. A pitch-black stepped fissure. The roots of the foundation are visible to the naked eye and climb up. Instantly tore open the window frame on the 2nd floor. The bright red word happy is just pasted in the middle of the crack. Torn in half. Looks very unlucky. The building is collapsing. The building is cracked. I don't know who shouted in the crowd. The onlookers instantly fried the pot. One after another. Wang Kuiying rushed up like crazy to hold the door. It's okay to shout incoherently. This is normal. Chen will be fine. But in response, he heard an even louder crack. An entire row of tiles on the third floor burst and fell. Cement. The dust quickly fell down on the bride's face. The bride's face was instantly whiter than her wedding dress. I refused to take another step forward. Pointing at the building, the voice trembling, I'm not going in this room. This is not a wedding room. This is a deadly kiln. Wang Dashan's eyes turned red. I want to drag the bride, but was pushed away by the bride's uncle. The uncle of the bride. He is an old contractor in the county who has been working in construction for more than 30 years. He goes under the wall. I just glanced at the crack. His face instantly turned black into the bottom of the pot. He turned to look at Wang Dashan and the elephant soldiers of the 7 seals. This marriage cannot be married. Whoever enters this house will die. The potatoes under the foundation ran away. The city pillar has been stabilized. That's his front line. Just then, the appraisal engineer came out of the building. He looked extremely serious. The appraisal results were announced on the spot and tested on site. The foundation of the house is not up to standard. Unqualified use. Slimming reinforced concrete label is seriously insufficient. There is a significant risk of collapse. Now it is officially finalized as a prefecture-level dangerous house. Lock down the scene immediately. No one is allowed to enter. Demolition must be carried out immediately. The voice just fell. 2 staff members are holding red seals on the word Da Hongxi in the Wang family. Cross-pasted. Dangerous house, Wang Kuiying watching. That bright red bee, eyes glaring like dead fish. Soft feet. He collapsed into the mud. The bride looked at the scene and sneered. Ripped off the veil on the spot. Threw it to the ground. Wang Dashan, you tricked me into getting married with a dangerous house. Do you want me to marry and fill in the pit for your family? This marriage will not be remarried. After saying that, he turned around and got into the wedding car. How did the convoy that sent relatives come to be beautiful? How can you be full of ridicule? It drove away in a mighty manner. Wang Dashan looked at the wedding car that drove away. He looked at the dangerous house that had been sealed. There is also Wang Kuiying, who is spread out on the ground. He went completely insane. He turned around sharply. Red eyes staring at me. Rushing like a mad dog. Grab my collar and serve. Chen Fei is you. It's all you're doing. You made me. I looked at him coldly. Gently break his hand. He patted the wrinkled collar. Say Wang Dashan, word by word. Do you have any evidence? I dug a water cellar on my homestead. Find my boundary tablet. That's my legal right. I will report your illegal construction and illegal behavior with my real name. Evidence. Reasonable and legal. As for your house becoming a dangerous house, that's your mom cutting corners. I found an unqualified grass platform team. Self-destruct. None of my business. These sentences are word for word. It was his mother Wang Kuiying who blocked it. My mother's exact words. The onlookers burst into laughter. One after another, it sounds too familiar. Isn't this Wang Kuiying's catchphrase? Turn the tables. This time it's the Chen family's turn to say. This is the current newspaper. Wang Dashan stands still. Blush and white. The crunch of fists. Can't say a word. But he doesn't know it's not over yet. The feast I prepared for him and the Wang family just got on the second one. Just when the Wang family was in chaos. When Wang Kuiying collapsed on the ground crying. 2 police officers came up to me. Say Mr. Chen Fei in a serious tone. The 983 Chen Shui murder bill you reported. We have accepted it? Did you bring the relevant evidence? Yes, I did. And I nodded. Took the iron box out of the bag. The diary inside. My shoe receipt. Note left by Grandpa. It was all handed over to the police in one piece. This sentence is like a thunder. It blew up in everyone's ears. Wang Kuiying, who was spread out on the ground, stopped howling in an instant. He looked up at the iron box in my hand. Eyes full of horror. His whole body was shaking like a sieve. What was killed? Chen Shouyi drowned in a ditch by himself. It has nothing to do with our family. Wang Kuiying screamed. There was an undisguised panic in his voice. If it doesn't matter, our police will investigate it clearly. The police officer gave him a cold look at Wang Kuiying. Wang Fugi, we are now subpoenaing you, in accordance with the law. Come back to the police station with us, to cooperate with the investigation. The death of Chen Shui in 1983. Wang Fugi is also Wang Kuiying's man. The usually taciturn, but an old man with bad water, hiding behind the crowd and trying to sneak away, but was stopped by 2 police officers on the spot. Buckled the arm, hiding behind the crowd and trying to sneak away, but was stopped by 2 police officers on the spot, and their arms were buckled. His face was instantly as white as paper. My legs went soft and I almost knelt on the ground. The onlookers completely exploded. My God, the old party secretary didn't die by accident. He was killed by Wang Fugi. No wonder the old party secretary was so tough back then. How could it fall into the gutter for no reason? It turned out to be killed. The Wang family is too dark. Killed people? They also occupied other people's land. Oppressed 2 generations. Is this still human? My dad's standing next to me, looking at Wang Fugi detained by the police. Tears can't stop flowing down. Over 40 years. His father's injustice finally came to an end. Wang Fugi was crushed by the police. When passing by me, suddenly looked up, red eyes staring at me. It's you who serves? It's all you, little brat? It was over 40 years ago. Why do you have to hold on to it? Why am I looking at him? There is no warmth in my eyes. Just because you killed my grandpa. Just because your Wang family occupied my land, oppressed 2 generations of my family. Let alone 40 years for this account. Even if it's 100 years, I have to figure it out. What else does Wang Fugi want to say? But he was directly escorted into the police car by the police. Wang Kuying also because suspected of illegally occupying other people's land. Taken away by law enforcement officers to cooperate with the investigation. The originally beaming wedding scene instantly become chicken feathers. Wang Deshan looked at the police car being driven away, looking at the dangerous house that has been sealed, looking at the messy running water mat. I can't take it anymore. Sitting in the mud. He hugged his head and cried. But this is far from the end. That afternoon, another group of people stormed into the village. Directly found the Wang family. The leader is Uncle Liu from a neighboring village. His man. I worked on the construction site with Wang Fugi back then. There had been an accident. The construction site paid 800,000 compensation. 300,000 of them are Uncle Liu's men. But it was brought down by Wang Kuiying and Wang Fugi. Uncle Liu has a woman's family with 3 children. After more than 10 years of hardship, finally came to the door today. There were a few old people with him. They were all killed by Wang Kuiying's youngest son, Wang Xiaoshan. In the name of pension investment. Victims who cheated out their pension money. They took the evidence and called the police on the spot. Police check. Wang Kuiying spent more than half of the money to build this 5-story building. It's all my sister's compensation from King Gong. And the dirty money from Wang Xiaoshan telecom fraud. That night, Wang Xiaoshan, who was hiding out of town, he was arrested by the police. In just one day, the Wang family has completely collapsed. Wang Fugi is suspected of intentional homicide, criminal detention by the police. What awaits him is the severe punishment of the law. Wang Kuying is accused of illegally occupying other people's land. Illegal use of dirty money to build houses was investigated according to law. His proud 5-story mansion, identified as illegal construction and prefecture-level dangerous houses. Demolition is ordered within a time limit. All illegal gains are frozen. Wang Xiaoshan is suspected of telecommunications fraud. Arrested by the police. The amount involved is huge. Prison awaits him. Wang Deshan's marriage has completely turned yellow. The woman's family not only divorced the marriage, he took her to court, claimed for mental and reputational damage. None of the 288,000 bride price was returned. The news spread throughout the village. No one sympathized with the Wang family. These years, the Wang family is domineering in the village by virtue of the large number of people, bullying the neighborhood, take advantage. The wickedness of doing is countless. This is what happened now. Everybody says they deserve it. It's retribution. And my family finally got back his homestead. Land and Resources Institute, in the town, redemarcated our boundaries. Half a meter of land occupied by the Wang family. All returned to us. The 5-story building of the inner building was illegally built after half a month. It was forcibly demolished according to law. Demolition day. I'm standing in my yard with my mom. Watch the excavator shovel by shovel. Put that building, the golden building that has crushed our family for decades, disintegrated into ruins. When the last wall came down, noon sun spilled unobstructed into my yard. On my brand new 3-story building. Shine on the moldy corner. Steam dry decades of moisture and haze. Clean and clean, my mother standing in the sun, reached out and caught a ray of sunshine. Tears slowly flowed down his cheeks. 30 years. The boulder that had weighed on his heart for 30 years finally shattered. The resentment that has been held back for 30 years has finally dissipated. And he turned to look at me, choking up and saying, "Concubine sunshine. Our family finally sees the sun." And I went over and I took his shoulder. Smile and say, "Mom, from now on, there will be sunshine in our house every day." Later, Wang Fugi's intentional homicide case, after a detailed investigation by the police, found the eyewitness from that year, plus the diary and evidence I submitted. A complete chain of evidence was formed. The court finally found Wang Fugi guilty of intentional homicide, sentenced to life imprisonment. Wang Xiaoshan commits telecommunications fraud. The amount is particularly huge. Sentenced to 12 years in prison. Wang Kuying commits the crime of illegal embezzlement, concealing the concealment of proceeds of crime. Multiple crimes and punishment. Sentenced to 5 years in prison. The Wang family is completely negative. Villagers see my mother again. There's been a sea change in attitude. Sister Fanghua, one by one, Sister Lin shouted affectionately. No one dares to look down on our old Chen family anymore. The smile on my mom's face is getting bigger and bigger. Rheumatism has miraculously improved a lot. I can bask in the sun in the yard every day. It's a flower. The waist is straight. Live brightly and happily. A villager asked me about Chen Fei. Why were you so calm in the first place? Wang Kuying has been bullied to the doorstep. If you are not noisy or noisy, you will dig holes every day. You are not afraid that you will not win. I smiled and said that quarreling with rascals is the most useless. He wants to play dirty. I will play yang with him. He thought that the higher the construction, the more beautiful, but I don't know that the foundation is crooked, and the higher the floor is, the harder the fall. What people fight for in life is not a temporary height, not the height of the house. It's the scale in my heart. It's the root. Malevolent, unstable foundation. No matter how tall the building is, it will eventually collapse. Integrity. Sit upright, even if you are wronged for a while. There will be a day when the clouds will clear, and the sun will see. The winter sun shines warmly on the yard. My mom was sitting in the yard, laughing and chatting with the neighbors. Hearty voice. Spread far, far. It's taller than that 5-story building.